Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu sekalian. Terima kasih atas kehadiran Bapak dan Ibu pada acara webinar Indonesia Biorefinery Future Outlook and Introduction of Technical Solution.
皆様、こんにちは。本日、インドネシアにおけるバイオリファイナリーの将来、展望と最新技術紹介にご参加いただきまして、誠にありがとうございます。
Perkenalkan, saya Gracia Hana. Hari ini saya akan memandu jalannya webinar hari pertama ini.
はじめまして、本日の司会を務めさせていただきます、グラシア・ハナと申します。そして、私は通訳のピザと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。
Indonesia Biorefinery Future Outlook and Introduction of Technical Solution merupakan webinar yang diselenggarakan sebagai bentuk kolaborasi antara the New Energy and Industrial Development Organization yang merupakan badan pemerintah yang bergerak di bidang research and development sektor energi di Jepang, bersama dengan Badan Pengkajian dan Penerapan Teknologi atau BPPT, yang merupakan lembaga di bawah koordinasi Kementerian Riset dan Teknologi yang bertugas melakukan pengkajian dan penerapan teknologi di Indonesia.
インドネシアにおけるバイオリファイナリーの将来展望と最新技術紹介のウェビナーは、国立研究開発法人新エネルギー産業技術総合開発機構 NEDO、バンコク事務所ジャカルタオフィスとインドネシアの技術評価応用庁 BPPT と共同で開催をいたします。技術評価応用庁 BPPT は研究技術賞3番の機関でインドネシアの技術の
Untuk memastikan acara webinar ini dapat berjalan dengan lancar, terdapat beberapa terms and conditions yang wajib kita patuhi bersama. Antara lain, 1. Selama acara berlangsung, secara otomatis Zoom semua peserta akan di-set menjadi mute dan kamera akan non-aktif. 2. Peserta tidak dapat memberikan komentar atau menyampaikan pertanyaan terkait materi yang disampaikan secara lisan. Peserta hanya diperkenankan untuk memberikan komentar atau pertanyaan terkait materi yang disampaikan secara tertulis pada kolom Q&A yang dapat dilakukan sejak sesi presentasi mulai berlangsung.
このウェビナーをスムーズに実行するためにはいくつかの説明事項があります。1、ウェビナー中すべての参加者のズームは自動的にミュートされ、キャメラもオフになります。2、参加者は口頭でのコメントや質問をすることができませんが、質問等がございましたら、プレゼンテーション開始後、Q&A の欄にインドネシア語や英語で書いていただくことは可能です。
3. Presentasi akan dilakukan dalam bahasa Inggris, penyampaian lainnya akan dilakukan dalam bahasa Indonesia dan bahasa Jepang yang diterjemahkan dalam bahasa Indonesia oleh penerjemah secara beriringan. 4. Pada sesi tanya-jawab, moderator akan memilih pertanyaan yang sudah diajukan pada kolom Q&A untuk dijawab langsung oleh speaker dalam bahasa Jepang dan diterjemahkan ke penerjemahan dalam bahasa Indonesia secara beriringan.
3、プレゼンテーションは英語で行われますが、それ以外、インドネシア語と日本語でお話しした場合は、逐次通訳が入ります。4、Q&A の時は、モデレーターがいくつかの質問を選んで、スピーカーは日本語でまたはインドネシア語で回答する場合は、逐次通訳が入ります。
Untuk memanfaatkan waktu, kita akan melanjutkan ke acara kedua, yaitu Opening Remarks, yang seharusnya hari ini dibawakan oleh Bapak Hamam Riza sebagai Chairman of the Agency for Assessment and Application of Technology Indonesia. Namun, pada hari ini Bapak Hamam Riza berhalangan hadir dan sedang dikoordinasikan untuk hadir di acara kita pada tanggal 17 Desember yang akan datang. Oleh karena itu, selanjutnya kita akan mendengarkan opening remarks dari Miss Yoshiko YURUGI sebagai representatif NEDO Asian Representative Office di Bangkok.
まずはNEDOバンコク事務所のゆるぎ所長から開会挨拶をお願いいたします。
Selamat pagi, 皆さんおはようございます。 日本の皆さんはこんにちは。NEDO バンコク事務所で所長を務めております、YURUGIと申します。
Perkenalkan, nama saya Yurugi. Saya adalah Chief Representative NEDO Asian Representative Office yang berbasik di Bangkok.
NEDO は日本の経済産業省傘下の法人で、最先端の技術開発の推進を通じて、イノベーションの実現を目指す公的プロジェクトマネジメントかつファンディング機関です。
NEDO adalah lembaga di bawah Kementerian Ekonomi, Perdagangan, dan Industri Jepang, merupakan public project management dan organisasi pendanaan yang bertujuan untuk mewujudkan inovasi dengan mempromosikan pengembangan teknologi mutakhir.
日本国内では再生可能エネルギー、省エネルギー、水素エネルギーといったエネルギー分野や AI やロボットといった産業技術分野など多岐にわたる技術分野において企業や研究機関などへの支援を行っております。
Di Jepang, kami memberikan dukungan kepada perusahaan dan lembaga penelitian di berbagai bidang teknis, termasuk bidang energi seperti energi terbarukan, konservasi energi, dan energi hidrogen, serta bidang teknologi industri seperti artificial intelligence dan robot.
また、海外においても、これら日本の先端技術を海外現地で導入したい方々を対象に、実証事業のサポートなどを行っており、ここ、インドネシアでも20件以上の実証事業を手掛けてまいりました。
Begitu juga di luar Jepang, kami juga mendukung proyek percontohan bagi perusahaan Jepang yang ingin memperkenalkan teknologi canggih yang dimiliki ke luar negeri. Dan saat ini telah melakukan lebih dari 20 proyek percontohan di Indonesia.
現在もインドネシア工業省などと共同で、電動バイク用の持ち運び可能なバッテリーのシェアリングの実証事業、またエネルギー鉱物資源省と共同で圧縮天然ガス CNG の乗用車やトラックの利用普及を目指した実証事業などを支援しております。
Bahkan kini, bekerja sama dengan Kementerian Perindustrian dan lainnya, ada proyek demonstrasi berbagi baterai portable untuk sepeda motor listrik. Selain itu, bekerja sama dengan Kementerian Energi dan Sumber Daya Mineral, kami mendukung proyek percontohan yang bertujuan untuk mempopulerkan penggunaan mobil dan truk penumpang berbahan bakar gas bertekanan tinggi atau CNG.
今回のセミナーのトピックはバイオマス分野になりますけれども、インドネシアはバイオマス資源が豊富な国であり、バイオディーゼル燃料の使用拡大や余剰または廃棄バイオマスへの活用への関心がますます高まっていると認識しております。
Topik seminar kali ini adalah bidang biomasa. Namun kami menyadari bahwa Indonesia adalah negara dengan sumber daya biomasa yang melimpah dan minat yang meningkat untuk memperluas penggunaan bahan bakar biodiesel dan memanfaatkan surplus atau limbah biomasa.
また、インドネシア政府は2025年までに再生可能エネルギーの割合を23% まで引き上げることを目標に掲げており、その中でバイオマスは重要な再生可能エネルギーの再生可能エネルギーの一つと言えます。
Selain itu, pemerintah Indonesia telah menetapkan tujuan untuk menaikkan proporsi energi terbarukan menjadi 23% pada tahun 2025. Dan biomasa dapat dikatakan sebagai salah satu sumber energi terbarukan yang penting.
そこで今回、高付加価値なバイオマス利用につながるバイオリファイナリー技術にフォーカスを当て、両国の最新の取り組みを紹介するウェビナーを開催することにいたしました。
Oleh karena itu, kali ini kami berencana mengadakan webinar untuk memperkenalkan upaya terbaru kedua negara dengan fokus kepada teknologi biorefinery yang mengarah pada penggunaan biomasa bernilai tambah tinggi.
本ウェビナーは初日はインドネシア側から最新の政策や技術動向などを紹介いただき、2日目以降はインドネシア、日本双方から最新の技術紹介を行っていただく構成となっております。
Di hari pertama webinar ini, pihak Indonesia akan memperkenalkan kebijakan dan tren teknologi terkini. Dan mulai hari kedua dan seterusnya, baik Indonesia maupun Jepang akan memperkenalkan teknologi terkini.
さらに2日目以降は、日本企業のインドネシアへの進出を支援するような日系公的機関の支援スキームについても簡単に紹介させていただく予定です。
Selanjutnya, mulai hari kedua dan seterusnya, secara singkat kami akan memperkenalkan skema dukungan lembaga publik Jepang yang mendukung ekspansi perusahaan Jepang ke Indonesia.
コロナで私たちの活動は停滞しました。しかしながら、思考まで停滞させる必要はありません。コロナ禍だからこそできること、コロナが少しでも落ち着いたらできることを考えられる一助に本ウェビナーがなればと思っております。
Walaupun pada masa pandemi seperti ini, kami merasa apa yang bisa kami lakukan dalam masa pandemi itu tetap semakin banyak. Oleh karena itu, selama masa pandemi, sambil kita menunggu masa pandemi berakhir, mari kita lakukan apa yang bisa kita lakukan untuk saat ini.
本セミナーを通じて、日本とインドネシアの新たな共同事業が生まれることを記念しつつ、NEDO としても BPPT と協力しながら、日本とインドネシア双方の企業の間に立ち、両国がウィンウィンの関係となるような新たな案件を生み出すサポートをしていければと思っております。
Sambil mendoakan terciptanya joint project baru antara Jepang dan Indonesia melalui seminar ini, NEDO akan berdiri di antara perusahaan di Jepang dan di Indonesia bekerja sama dengan BPPT. Dan kedua negara akan memiliki hubungan yang saling menguntungkan. Saya ingin mendukung pembuatan proyek-proyek baru.
具体的な連携のご相談など、日本、インドネシア双方からのご連絡もお待ちしておりますので、NEDOまでお気軽にご連絡ください。
Kami menantikan kabar baik dari Jepang dan Indonesia seperti konsultasi tentang kerjasama khusus, jadi jangan ragu untuk menghubungi NEDO jika Anda memiliki pertanyaan.
最後になりますが、本日ご参加いただいている皆様と、本ウェビナーを共催いただいております BPPT、本ウェビナーの開催に向けご協力をいただきました関係機関および講演者の皆様に感謝を申し上げつつ、開会のご挨拶とさせていただきます。
Terakhir, saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta hari ini. Terima kasih juga untuk BPPT yang telah menjadi penyelenggara bersama serta semua organisasi dan pembicara yang telah bekerja sama dalam penyelenggaraan webinar ini.
ありがとうございました。Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Miss Yoshiko Yurugi. Baiklah, Bapak Ibu, kita akan memulai acara puncak kita, yaitu presentasi dari para pembicara yang akan dipandu oleh Ibu Novita Shantika sebagai moderator. Ibu Novi Syafitika merupakan staf ahli di Center for Energy Resource and Chemical Industry di BPPT. Kepada Ibu Novi Shantika, kami persilahkan untuk memandu presentasi.
Sate, gosanka no minasama, ここからはプレゼンテーションセッションに移りたいと思います。本日のモデレーターはノフィ・シャフティカ様です。ノフィ・シャフティカ様は技術評価応用庁エネルギー資源科学産業技術センター研究員として務めております。それでは、フィ様はどうぞ。
Terima kasih. Good morning. For this session, I was informed by the organizer that I can speak in English for the presentation session. So, allow me to speak in English. But first, can you please confirm if you can hear my voice clearly?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction. It is my pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Novi. I am a staff in BPPT, or the Agency for the Assessment and Application of Technology, particularly the Center for Energy Resource and Chemical Industry, or in Indonesian it is called as PTSEIK, or Pusat Teknologi Sumber Daya Energi dan Industri Kimia. So allow me to greet you first. Oh yeah, is this gonna be right now, right? Okay. Allow me to greet you first, especially to the Chief Representative of NEDO Asian Office in Bangkok, Ms. YURUGI Yoshiko, also to Mr. Kotsusa and colleague in NEDO. I would like to also greet the head of BPPT, Mr. Hamam Riza, or the representative with all of our colleagues from BPPT, as well as the invited speakers, Ms. Andriah, Mr. Joko Winarno, Ms. Nialisiani Dewi or her representative, and Mr. Joko Wahono, and all the audience today from Indonesia, Japan, or maybe other countries. Hopefully this webinar can be fruitful for all of us.
So on behalf of our director, Mr. Hans Saputra, who regretfully cannot be with us today due to the BPPT pre-annual meeting that he has to join together with our head of BPPT, Mr. Hamam Riza, and also our deputy, Ms. Enia. So actually he's maybe here listening while doing the meeting, but cannot be actively participate due to the offline meeting he is attending. So my task today is to facilitate the session of presentation as well as the discussion. This webinar is collaboration of Indonesia and Japan, with hopefully can be a great chance to share each other on biorefinery issue. So the 4 days schedule were prepared with each topic, starting today with sharing Indonesia side regarding the government policy and the latest trend in the field of biomass. I think today's session will be very interesting because not only we will hear the latest update regarding the policy, but also the technology related to biorefinery with these speakers from different background, from the policymakers, from government agency, and from the association, as well as from the private company. So shall we start with our first speaker today, Ms. Andriah Feby Misna, and she is the Director of Bioenergy at the Directorate of New Renewable Energy and Energy Conservation, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. She is also representing Mr. Dadan Kusdiana, the Directorate General, who cannot be present for today. And her presentation topic is Biomass Energy Policy in Indonesia. The directorate where she works at has the task of carrying out the formulation and implementation of policies in the field of fostering, controlling, and supervising geothermal, bioenergy, various new and renewable energies, and energy conservation. So I would like to invite Ms. Andriah to present her presentation. As informed by the organizer, each speaker have around 15 minutes, so please use your time wisely. Please, Ibu Andriah, please start your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Novi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Honorable Mr. Hamam Riza, or the representative, and Honorable Ms. YURUGI Yoshiko, and all colleagues from NEDO, distinguished speaker, and all participants. A very good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to convey the apology from my DG, Mr. Dadan Kusdiana. Due to another agenda, he cannot join in this seminar. We really appreciate on the collaboration between BPPT and NEDO to conduct this seminar. Thank you very much for inviting us to join this seminar. And in this opportunity, I will share about the bioenergy policy in Indonesia. Even if I see the agenda is, the topic is the biomass policy, but in this opportunity, I will share broad on the bioenergy, not only the biomass. In this opportunity, I will talk about the national energy policy, and then policy and strategy for bioenergy development, and then a bioenergy program and implementation in Indonesia. Regarding the national energy policy, in terms of increasing energy security, as well as energy resilience, government already put some priority on national energy development. There are 5 priorities. The first one is to maximize the utilization of renewable energy. The second one is to minimize minimize the utilization of oil. The third one, to optimize the utilization of natural gas and new energy. The fourth one is to utilize coal as the reliable national energy supply. And the last one is utilizing the nuclear as the last option. This is our priority in national energy development. And when we see the national energy plan, we already put the target. We already set the target in 2025 to increase the contribution of renewable energy around 23%. And if we see the achievement in 2019, the achievement is around 9.15%. And we hope in 2020, the contribution of renewable energy can be increased to 11%. The government, we realize that we still have the big gap to achieve the target, and we conduct some breakthrough program to accelerate the achievement of renewable energy contribution in 2025. One of the programs that now we try to encourage is how to replace the coal using in the power plant, the existing power plant. Because if we see the target in 23%, it's quite difficult for us to achieve this target if we have no some innovation program. So for this, we try to accelerate the implementation of biomass, particularly by replacing the utilization of some coal in the current power plant. And if we see the target, if we see the achievement, actually the biofuel is have the important role because almost 30% of achievement in 2019 come from the biofuel. This is the target that we already set in the National Energy Policy. For the bioenergy power plant, we have the target in 2025 to increase the installed capacity around 5.5 gigawatt. And for the biofuel, we hope that we can utilize the biofuel around 13.9 million kiloliters. And for the biomass is around 8.4, and the biogas is around 489 million meter cubic. But when we see the achievement for the power plant, it's in 2019, it's around 1.9 gigawatt. And for the biofuel, it's around 6.4 million kiloliter. And for the biomass, until now, we have good data for collecting the utilization of biomass. And for the biogas, the achievement is around 26 million meter cubic. From this figure, we can see that actually we still have a big gap to achieve the target. This is our homework, and we hope we can work together to achieve the target. Talking about the biomass potential, particularly for electricity, Indonesia has a lot of potential of biomass, and we can see from this slide. The feedstock is varies start from the oil palm and then sugarcane until the municipal waste. And when we convert it to electricity, it can generate around 32 gigawatt of electricity. But until now, as I mentioned before, the implementation is only 1.9 gigawatt. This is the policy and strategy for bioenergy development, as mentioned by Ms. YURUGI, that actually biomass can play an important role on increasing the renewable energy. And now we try to develop the bioenergy, such as biomass, biogas, and biofuel. For biomass, now, as I mentioned before, we encourage to implement the co-firing in current power plant, coal-fired power plant. The feedstock can come from the biomass as well as from the municipal waste. And then the biomass also we develop for the power plant, both off-grid and on-grid. And for the biogas, we encourage the implementation for domestic and communal biogas, and then also for industrial biogas such as bio-CNG. This is the still new initiative in Indonesia, but we hope in the future we can accelerate the implementation of bio-CNG in Indonesia, since actually we have a lot of potential of POME, which can be developed for the bio-CNG. And then also we develop biogas for the power plant. And for the biofuel, actually we can develop it to be a biodiesel, bioethanol, as well as the biohydrocarbon. For this time, the biodiesel is very massive developed in Indonesia. However, the bioethanol is quite stuck because the price of the bioethanol is still high, and we have no resource for the incentive. And for the biohydrocarbon, we hope in the future we can encourage the implementation of biohydrocarbon. It can be in green diesel, green gasoline, as well as bioafter. This is the strategy for encourage the implementation of bioenergy to support the national energy security. The first one, for the bioenergy power plant, we increase the installed capacity of bioenergy power plant. To promote the business and investment on bioenergy development, now we are developing the drafting presidential regulation on electricity tariff from energy. We hope with this regulation, it can attract the investor to invest on renewable energy. And then we increase the installed capacity of bioenergy power plant by ensuring all related parties will implement the RUPTL or electricity generation plan. And then we also have the program for waste to energy. This is around 12 cities included in this acceleration project. And then we also encourage the agri-industry with captive power to sell their electricity surplus with the excess power scheme, and also develop small-scale biomass power plant. And the second strategy is to optimize the biomass utilization by encouraging the development of biomass or RDF for co-firing. And for the co-firing, currently around 115 unit current coal-fired power plant owned by PLN will implement the co-firing in 42 locations with a total capacity around 18 gigawatt. And the implementation, it will be starting this year. Around 4 CFPP or coal-fired power plant already in commercial phase to implement the co-firing. And for the biofuel implementation, as you know that Indonesia is now already implemented a D30 program. It started in this year. And for the future, we will develop the green refinery to produce green diesel, green gasoline, as well as green after. And then also we conduct the supporting technical and economical study for green fuel development, and develop the supporting industry such as industry for the methanol and also for the catalyst. The other strategy is implementation of sustainable biogas program. We develop a sustainable biogas program now on the progress, and encourage the biogas development for domestic purpose and small micro medium enterprise. And also promote the development of commercial scale of bio-CNG for transportation, for LPG substitution, for industry and power generation. This is for policy and strategy for bioenergy development in Indonesia. And then now we move to bioenergy program and implementation. For the bioenergy power plant, we already installed with the capacity around 1.9 megawatt, which is around 1.6 gigawatt is on off-grid, and around 210 in on-grid. And this is some example of our bioenergy power plant. It can come from the biomass, the feedstock come from the biomass, biogas, municipal waste, and as well as from CPO. For the municipal waste, as I mentioned before, that we have the regulation, presidential regulation to accelerate the implementation of municipal waste to energy in the 12 cities. And around 3 of these cities already signed the PPA, and 2 already have the developer, and the other is still on the process of tender. This is the figure of distribution of domestic biogas. Currently, we already built around 47,000 units of domestic biogas. It's spread in 31 provinces in Indonesia, and it's built by the Ministry of Energy and other ministry, and also support by the donors such as HIFOS, and also the private sector. And this is for the co-firing biomass, the implementation of biomass co-firing. As I mentioned before, that we hope by substitution of the energy, we hope that we can catch the target that already set in 2025. And we see we already do some activity to encourage the implementation of the co-firing biomass. And if we see regarding the off-taker, we already have the PLN as off-taker. It's around 114 coal-fired power plant in 52 locations. And also the other industries such as cement, it's around 34 cement industry already can be as off-taker. And if we see the feedstock, actually, we also have a lot of feedstock, but currently the main problem is regarding the price. So now for the short term, we encourage the implementation of co-firing based on the municipal waste or the agriculture and forest residue. But we hope for the future, we can also move to the energy crops. This is the location of co-firing in Sumatra, Kalimantan, Java, Sulawesi, Bali, and Nusa Tenggara, as well as in Maluku. And the PLN already conducted some trial on the co-firing, and 4 of coal-fired power plant already commercial phase, and we hope the other coal-fired power plant will follow to be go into the commercial phase. This is the roadmap of biomass co-firing, but it's still in discussion actually, because we need to discuss with the other stakeholders, particularly in feedstock sustainability. In this roadmap, we divide 3 phases, the first phase, second, and the third phase. So in the short phase, we more concerned on using the waste for the feedstock. And in the future, we hope we can encourage the energy crops to support the co-firing program. For the biofuel development, as I mentioned before, that in 2020, we already start with B30. And this is one of the renewable energy program we can say that quite success in Indonesia. From this figure, we can see in 2020, the target based on the energy plan, national energy plan, is around 8 million kiloliters, and we hope we can achieve around 8.4 5 million kiloliters in 2020. Even in the first allocation, we already set in 9.6, but due to the pandemic COVID, the achievement is reduced because of some activity has been stopped, particularly in transportation. It's very get the impact on the COVID pandemic. But based on the target set in the National Energy Plan, around 8, it can be achieved in 2020, and we hope in 2025 we also can increase the implementation of biofuel. For the biorefinery development, Pertamina is very eager to develop the biorefinery, biohydrocarbon. The trial and research already started since 2014, and Pertamina also will build the standalone biorefinery, the new one in Cilacap, and for the revamping, the new one in Pelaju, the new one in Pelaju, and for the revamping in Cilacap. So we hope in the future we also can increase the renewable energy in transportation sector. Besides the green diesel, we also encourage to produce the green gasoline. It can come from the co-processing process in the current biorefinery. For the closing, I think this is some challenge and opportunity for bioenergy development program. We realize that we have a lot of potential, but unfortunately, until now, the implementation is still far from the target. For the challenge and opportunity for the feedstock, we have a lot of feedstock, but we need to make sure that the potential conflict between the use of raw material can be minimized. And also the guarantee of feedstock sustainability and biomass price stability is also one of the challenges in bioenergy development. The other things is readiness of supporting industry, such as hydrogen industry to support the green fuel project, and then methanol industry, catalyst industry, and also industrial vegetable oil industry. And the other challenge is funding and incentive, because we know that for the renewable energy as well as for the bioenergy, there is the lack of funding for this project. We hope that in the future we can increase the support for the renewable energy, particularly for the bioenergy. And for the infrastructure, because Indonesia is the archipelago with a lot of islands, so we also have another challenge regarding the infrastructure. So we hope in the future we also can build the good infrastructure to support the distribution of biofuel and the other project on renewable energy. And also the quality of assurance and product quality, it's also the challenge for us, and the technology availability and innovation. And from this seminar, we hope BPPT and NEDO can support the bioenergy development. There is some idea how the BPPT and NEDO can support. The first one is we encourage the Japanese private sector to invest in bioenergy projects in Indonesia, and also develop bioenzyme, catalyst, and additive to modify industrial process to produce reliable and affordable bioenergy product, and also to develop research and development to improve biomass productivity, and also develop study on micro or small scale power plant, and also conduct studies on development of X1 generation biomass, which is environmentally friendly, efficient, and economically feasible. I hope from this seminar we can share knowledge about the technology and also innovation on bioenergy development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Andriah, for your sharing today. It is, I believe it's very informative for all the audience today. We are now updated on the latest policies, not just related to biomass or biorefinery, but also renewable energy in general in Indonesia. As for the Q&A, please, to the audience, you can give question or comments on the Q&A chat, and please mention to whom the question is addressed to, and also please mention your name and affiliation. The questions can be written in English, Indonesian, or Japanese, and later we will interpret it. So, okay, so let's move to the next presentation. Today, our second presenter is Mr. Joko Winarno from the Indonesian Biomass Energy Society or Masyarakat Energi Indonesia. He will present today's topic on biomass potential in Indonesia. And Mr. Joko Winarno is also a commissary of PT Elektro Indonesia Mandiri, and he is also a project consultant of PT Indo Power International from 2015 until now. And for the organization, the Indonesian Biomass Energy Society he is today is representing, it is an open professional organization representing stakeholders in the development and utilization of biomass for energy. The Indonesian Biomass Energy Society, or MEBI, intends to gather the potential of various parties related to and with an interest in renewable energy to create a condition that is complementary and synergized in the efforts of Indonesian people to build a quality, reliable, and efficient biomass energy system with competitive prices affordable to the wider community. Okay, so for today's second presentation, please, Mr. Joko Winarno, the screen and time is yours. Silakan Pak Joko.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished guests, Mr. Hamam Riza from BPPT, Mr. YURUGI from NEDO, and Ibu Andriah, Feby Misna from Bioenergy. Maybe you can share the presentation.
Oh yeah, from the organizer, could you please help us to share the presentation of Mr. Joko Winarno? Okay, we can wait a little bit. Maybe while waiting, Mr. Joko, you can share with us a little more about your organization.
Yes, I will present this by the biomass potential in Indonesia. But I think all the potential already mentioned by Ibu Andriah, and then I make this our overview of our next. Yeah, overview is our Indonesian Biomass Energy Society. IBES was declared on September 15, 2020. IBES vision to become a leading professional organization in the development of biomass energy to support the national energy security and economic in sustainable manner. Purpose and objective: increasing public energy access through the use of renewable energy can encourage economic growth and care of the environment, which is the line with the philosophy of pro-growth, pro-job, pro-poor, and pro-environment. Number two, breakout efforts are needed in accelerating, expanding, and development the use of biofuel and the use of biomass as a source of electricity. Three, a breakthrough effort that can be made by the government is the Energy Forest Development Program. This program is an effort to develop biomass raw material, which is very strategic in the nature by involving the community in ensuring the availability of the raw material and biomass production. Next. Role and contribution of forest plan. There is a local need for diesel power plant and coal-fired power plant, which its fuel will be covered into biomass. Local industry of factories that use boilers in Java initially use coal and palm kernel shell, but the availability of the palm kernel shell in Java was decreasing because they were mostly exported. Dependence of more than 2 million people on biomass for cooking and heating, and takes 10% of the land to obtain certain amount of firewood. Indonesia energy supply is 85% of fossil energy, while alternative energy has not been full development. Bioenergy contribution was 8.2% in 2015. The availability of fossil energy while forest land is still quite extensive. The reserve HTI area is 2,245,364 hectares. The reserve R of the HTR is 702,519 hectares. Next. Potential for crop forest development. Forests are 70% of land area. Production forest 74.44 million hectare, 62.57%. An area of 36.99 million hectare has not been burned with permits, of which 10,000.06 million is reserved for forest permit. The area of forest permit is 28.99 million hectare. HPT is 28.41 million hectare. HPK is 18.4 million hectare. Plantation forest is 5 million hectare. Wood production is 21 million cubic meter per year. Next. I think this potential biomassa in Indonesia, you can see that. Next. The role of IBES in creating biomass-based energy, increasing professionalism of human resource through education and training, workshop, symposium, seminar, lunch and talk, and other, either independently or in collaboration with other agencies. Two, developing network and cooperation between stakeholders in Indonesia and around the world through the connectivity of biomass energy organization and digital data collection system from the upstream, downstream sector. Three, optimizing the use of communication media, mass media, and other media for the dissemination of the IBES activity and research result to stakeholders. Providing input to government in public policy and handling strategic issue related to the development and utilization of biomass and biomass energy, as well as national energy conservation. Number 4, encouraging increased added value and competitiveness through increases productivity and cost efficiency production in the upstream downstream sector, as well as acceptance of incentive as environmental friendly green product. 6, encouraging the development of biomass energy as a business unit that has good prospect for supporting increased employment opportunity and employment. 7, building coordination, cooperation, and consultant roles in the effort to create cohesiveness and synergy between stakeholders through the MEBI forum, as well as assessing biomass expert to be certified accredited. IBES can make this happen together with other stakeholders. Next. Figure of the potential of biomass power plant and waste in Indonesia, 32,856 megawatt, as well as HTI and area. This is the total in Aceh, 11,000 hectare, Jambi, 22,000 hectare, Bangka Belitung, Sumsel, and all the Sumatra, we have potential for 15,588 megawatt. Java Bali, total Java, we have 13,860 hectare. Jawa Bali Madura have the 9,215 megawatt. Kalimantan, we have 100 on the Kalimantan Barat, 429,000 hectare. Kalimantan Tengah, 108,000 hectare. Kalimantan Timur, 100,000 hectare. Kalimantan Selatan, 97. The total Kalimantan, we have potential 5,062 megawatt. Sulawesi, Gorontalo, Sulbar, and Nusa Tenggara, total is 1,937 megawatt. Maluku, we have the 96 megawatt. Papua, 151 megawatt. Also Nusa Tenggara, we have potential 636 megawatt. Next. The potential of energy plant, PLN, is already presented by the Ibu Fabria. Next. This is also the PLN already presented by Ibu Feby. Next. Also, this is the biomass pallet waste for the waste to waste. We have the total is 20,025 ton per hour. And then there's the forest product, many, the pellet. Now, this is all the potential of the waste. Next. Okay. And then we have the presentation, but maybe it's only for your itu. So many. I put the location of the total of the in the Aceh, the mile of the palm oil. This is already mentioned that. Also, we put all the location of the diesel or power plant there to make synchronize the potential in every location. I think this is my presentation. You just you can take all the data. This is we have the, because Indonesia have the more than 1,000 palm oil mill. This is also we have the diesel power plant will be replacing by the biomass power plant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joko. Well, actually, we can call you also Pak Jokowi ya Pak ya. Pak Jokowi boleh ya Pak.
Jokowin.
Another Jokowi. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, and I think it's very interesting because the association is a very important stakeholders to give a suggestion as well as a place to discuss between different various various parties who are interested in biomass, and then you can give a suggestion to the policymakers as well as the technology developer. So thank you very much for sharing with us about your organization as well as some data. Thank you very much. All right. So we will move to the next presentation. So today we regretfully cannot have Miss Enia Lisiani Dewi to present her presentation today, but don't worry because we already have a representative here with us, Mr. Sri Jangkung Sumbogo Murti. Today, he, as the Program Director of Technology Innovation and Services for Chemical Industry Agency for the Assessment and Application of Technology, BPPT, will present Ms. Enia's presentation on behalf of her. So here, he is my colleague here in BPPT, and his experience and organization is he also ever lead the BPPT Bioenergy Program, Chief Engineer of Biofuel, and also Associate Engineer here in the Center of Energy Resource Technology and Chemical Industry. Okay, so as a reminder, again, for each presentation, we have around 15 minutes. Please use the time wisely. So to Mr. Sumbogo Murti, the time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, from my side, it's very clear.
Okay, can I share the screen, please?
Okay, yes, we can see your slides, Pak Sumbogo. Thank you.
Ini bukan. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to convey an apology from Professor Enia. Okay, share screen. Yeah. Okay, first of all, I would like to convey the apologies from Professor Enia because there is a DPR in our office. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Chief Representative of NEDO Asia Representative Office, Ms. YURUGI Yoshiko, the Director of Bioenergy, Ibu Feby Misna, the Chairman of the Indonesian Biomass Energy Society, Bapak Joko Winarno, and also CEO Clean Power Indonesia, Bapak Jaya Wahono. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, konnichiwa. On these occasions, I will, on behalf of Professor Enia, will talk about the biomass utilization technology in Indonesia. As we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has hit Indonesia since the first case was detected and officially announced by the government in early March 2020, affecting almost all sectors of socio-economic life. The energy sector is one that has been significantly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The large-scale social restriction policies pose a challenge in implementing the national energy management plans that have been made by the governments, such as the National Energy Policy, the National Energy General Plan, the Electricity Supply Business Plan, and limiting community activities will directly reduce demand, including energy demand. Electricity consumptions will decline due to the restriction novice business and manufacturing industry activities. Decreasing energy demand will also reduce energy supply. At the present, the energy mix condition in Indonesia still needs acceleration to reach 23% by 2025, or the required equivalent of 94 MTOE. Indonesia energy consumption needs are still very dependent on fossil energy. More than 90% of national energy consumption come from the fossil energy. As national energy company, Pertamina is facing a huge challenge to ensure that Indonesia energy sustainability. Production reduced significantly while product demand increased at around 4 to 5% per year. Indonesia's fuel import requirement could reach 1 million barrels per day in 2020, and energy diversification is a must for Indonesia to fuel its economic growth. Indonesia is rich in oil palm plantation. In 2018, Indonesia's CPO's production reached 41.6 million tons. And in 2025, if all Indonesian oil palm plantations bear fruits, it is estimated that they will produce around 51.7 million tons of CPO. This CPO has the potential to accelerate the fulfillment of 23 new renewable targets by 2025. Indonesia can also use its biomass to accelerate the achievement of 23%, such as to substitute fuel import 20% or 80,000 barrels per day and reducing current account deficit. A solution for oversupply CPO and thus utilizing biomass to provide farmers added value. Relevant to support renewable energy target of 20% of national energy mix in 2025, and thus provided a better energy security. Biomass is the only renewable energy resources that can replace oil from fossil energy, which is very limited. Only biomass that can be used both as a source of fuel energy and for electricity. This is a chart of Bioenergy Development Program Indonesia, where this was explained detailed by Ibu Andriah Misna. And then Indonesia is the largest CPO producer in the world. BPPT supports the government program, namely the application of B30, mixing diesel, biodiesel as much as 30% of biodiesel in diesel fuel. Biodiesel can reduce diesel import, but also create jobs. The following is oil palm, which is an energy industry crop that contributes a lot to the country's foreign exchange. All components can be used as an energy source, starting from the fruits for CPO production, oil palm, empty bunch, and shell can be used as a fuel for power plants. In the front, can be converted also into bio-oil. Even liquid waste in the form of pome, palm oil meal effluents, can be used for electricity generation. The following is the potential for biomass in Indonesia, whereas palm biomass is one of the biggest potential because palm oil is cultivated to produce CPO for export and for domestic purposes. From this oil palm cultivation, several benefits will be taken, such as palm oil mist, 30 ton per hour Feby, can generate electricity around 3 to 4 megawatt from biomass power plants, and also 1 megawatt from biogas power plant comes from Pome. And in Indonesia, there are about 700 units of palm oil mills nationwide, with an average production capacity around 30 to 45 tons per hour of fresh fruit bunch in general, that can generate electricity for 3,000 megawatt from biomass power plant and 1,000 megawatt from biogas power plant from Pome. Apart from biomass from oil palm, we also still have many potential sources of biomass, including Kaliandra, Turi Lamtoro, etc., that most can be found around Indonesian. We at BPPT are in accordance with the direction of the President of the Republic of Indonesia to develop fuel by making energy plantation when the produce from this plantation is dedicated to fuel. Utilization of this kind of biomass is one of the breakthrough in fulfilling the target of 23 EBT in the energy mix 2025, and in addition to creating national energy security. In relation to this activity, biodiesel, the second generation fuel, will be made, and the second generation biofuel will use oil palm biomass as a raw material to process into bio-oil, and then the bio-oil is upgraded to meet the specification for the motor and vehicles. From this activity, it has been proposed to the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources regarding energy plantation and has received a positive response from the Minister. And hopefully, this can also accelerate the achievement of the 23% target. And in addition, BPPT is also developing necessary technology to obtain the new seeds which quality the best. This is the biogas gasification scheme, which is a collaboration between BPPT and Gunma University through the SATRAP program, Jaya. In these collaborations, a biomass gasification technology has been designed with dual fluidized bed gasification technology using biomass as a raw material from palm oil. Biomass gasification can convert the biomass into flammable gas, which can be used for electricity generations and heat productions. The gaseous product can also be upgraded to other valuable products, such as FD fluids, hydrogen, or even as chemicals. The output capacity of this biogas gasification design is 50 kilowatt electric, with oil palm biomass feed as much as 200 kilograms per day. The byproduct of biomass gasification here is used as a matrix for NPK fertilizer, which is using to provide nutrition for onion plants, and the results are very encouraging. This is about the biogas from the pome. The amount of pome from palm oil mills is very large, and if it is not processed or utilized, it will have a negative impact, especially the achievement of zero waste, added value for waste, and eco-friendly. So the utilization of palm oil mill effluent into energy is the best solution to overcome the negative impact caused by pome. The processing of pome into products will increase the profitability of the palm oil mills, namely biogas. Biogas can be used as a source of fuel for boilers or to generate electricity itself. The electrical energy generated is often used for internal factories in the form of power source from the canal crushing plant, offices or housing for factory employees. And in addition, a scheme for selling electricity to PLN can be carried out. And BPPT has succeeded in making a power plant from pome using a copper lagoon technology with the capacity of 700 kilowatt electric to 1 megawatt electric at Trantam Palm Oil Mills, Riau. This is collaboration with PTPN 5, and the electricity generated is used for oil canal factory. This is the proposed value of energy from biomass in the context of Indonesian energy mix. The first can reducing fuel imports and also potential to create new business for the people, agriculture sector and mechanical industry, also job creations and the effort to achieve the furthest EBT target compared to other EBT alternatives. And the last one is reducing greenhouse gas emission meets sustainable development goals. And the last one, BPT supports biorefinery research and innovations through national and international collaborations. And let us use science and technology resources in the field of energy for national development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sumbogo, for sharing with us. I think your sharing is more about technology aspects. So today, I think we have quite, various perspectives regarding biorefinery or biomass here. So, I need to remind the audience for the Q&A session. You can ask questions and comments on the Q&A chat. You can use Indonesian, English, or Japanese, and later we will have a special session for Q&A at the end of all the presentations. Okay, so for the fourth one here, we have from private company. Can you all hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we have Mr. Jaya Wahono. He is the CEO of Clean Power Indonesia. He is also the member of Indonesian Chamber for Renewable Energy and has been promoting 100% renewable energy target by 2030 in small islands all over Indonesia in order to bring affordable, sustainable, reliable, and equitable electricity to its population. And his company overview is the Clean Power Indonesia is the first company that implement the concept of community-based biomass distributed power for rural or island communities. They use bamboo and other forest-based biomass for feedstock supply and focusing on biomass gasification technology. So today's presentation, he will talk about biomass gasification specifically, but also I think he can also share about other projects from Clean Power Indonesia. So please, Mr. Jaya Wahono, the time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Novi, for the time that you've given me. Thank you also, Pak Hamam Riza and Yugeso Son, the Chief Representative of NEDO in Bangkok, Ibu Feby representing Bapak Bunda dan Gustiana, and Bapak Sumbogo representing Ibu Enia. Please, the organizer, can you play the video that we have submitted? And I will not play my video or my camera because I want to save some bandwidth. Go ahead. There is no sound. Can you make sure about the sound? Thank you.
Sumatera Barat kini bisa menikmati listrik untuk pertama kalinya sejak Indonesia merdeka. Aliran listrik yang menerangi hidup mereka dihasilkan pembangkit listrik tenaga biomasa atau PLTBM berbahan bakar bambu. PLTBM berkapasitas total 700 kW tersebut menghasilkan listrik untuk 1.233 kepala keluarga.
Setelah adanya listrik masuk di desa kami ini, kami boleh nonton TV dan juga kami bisa bekerja baik malam dengan kegiatan-kegiatan baik di pemerintah maupun di masyarakat setempat. Dan kami bersyukur dengan adanya penerangan di tempat ini, kami boleh meningkatkan segi perekonomian kami baik untuk hari ini maupun untuk hari-hari yang akan datang.
Dengan adanya listrik ini juga akan memotivasi masyarakat untuk meningkatkan taraf hidupnya untuk ke arah yang lebih baik.
Potensi penghematan yang akan diperoleh dari PLTBM dibandingkan PLTD adalah 14 miliar rupiah per tahun.
Dengan menggunakan bahan bakar bambu ini jauh lebih murah, dan kita alhamdulillah dari PL ini kita bisa menekan efisiensi 70% untuk biayanya dengan menggunakan bahan bakar BPPT bambu.
Selain penghematan, pendapatan masyarakat juga meningkat dengan adanya pembelian bambu dari kebun masyarakat setempat dan penyerapan tenaga kerja sebesar 2 miliar rupiah per tahun.
Bambu mereka tanam atau yang mereka punya, mereka jual ke PLN menghasilkan duit. PLN atau biomasa ini memproses menjadi lampu, menjadi listrik, dikembalikan lagi kepada masyarakat. Minimal itu menjadi suatu manfaat yang sangat berguna sekali. Selain tadi ada penghematan BBM fosil.
Pembangunan 3 PLTBM ini mengusung konsep 3-in-1 development. Pertama, PLTBM menyediakan energi listrik untuk daerah yang sama sekali belum teraliri listrik. Dengan pembangunan pembangkit ini, Indonesia dapat menambah rasio elektrifikasi nasional. Kedua, PLTBM menjadi salah satu upaya pengembangan energi baru terbarukan atau NEDO, khususnya tenaga biomasa yang masih belum banyak dikembangkan. Ketiga, pembangunan PLTBM ini juga bagian pembangunan daerah IDT akan tertinggal, terdepan, dan terluar.
Ini adalah inovasi yang luar biasa karena akan mempercepat proporsi energi terbarukan dalam komposisi bauran energi nasional. Yang tentunya kita harapkan tahun 2025 kita sudah mencapai 23% energi mix berasal dari energi terbarukan.
PLTBM menjadi jawaban untuk memberikan akses listrik merata bagi masyarakat di salah satu gugus pulau terluar paling barat Indonesia yang sudah lama tidak menikmati listrik sejak Indonesia merdeka, seperti di Pulau Siberut.
Thank you, organizer. So I will put up my presentation first. Can you all see it? Moderator, can you see?
It's still just black. So maybe we have to wait a little bit, or maybe you can repeat the
Okay.
share screen again, because we can only just see the black box right now.
How about now? Can you see? It show up in my screen right now.
Is there any something written on it? Because this is only black, like blank black box for now. Can you try to click next?
Yes, I did.
No, it seems we cannot see the content of the presentation.
Okay, hold on. How about now? Can you see?
It's still the black blank box.
Okay. Can the organizer share the presentation from their side?
Yes.
Because
There,
it
could
shows
you
in
please?
my, yeah.
Can you stop share screen from your side, Mr. Jaya?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that the
Okay.
right
I did.
here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, can wait a little bit.
Okay, there you go. Okay, very good. Can you start the slide? Thank you. So apologize for the technical difficulties. So the purpose that I want to show the video first before I do the presentation is to tell the audience that the project is already established. The biomass gasification is already implemented in Indonesia in a very remote village in Siberut Island. And Siberut Island is also a remote island in the west side of Indonesia. So I would like to present the concept so NEDO and the representative can understand the challenge and the opportunities of implementing this such new technology in Indonesia. Go ahead, next. Okay, so this is our problem. We have a geographical limitation where we have thousands of islands and we cannot connect all these islands in one main grid, like in China or India or any other ASEAN countries in nearby, in Thailand or Vietnam or Malaysia and so on and so forth. Because of that limitation, the electricity is only reliable and equitable for the majority of population in Java, in the island of Java. But outside of Java, in particular in eastern part of Indonesia, electricity is still quite rare. And if they have electricity, then it's not reliable, it's not equitable, it's not 24-hour per day, it's not 7 days a week. They have a lot of interruption of electricity supply. And this is an ironic situation because Indonesia is rich in energy resources. We have all kinds of energy. Compared to Japan, we are much richer in terms of natural resources. We have oil and gas, we have coal, we have biomass, we have geothermal sources, we have hydro sources, wind and solar everywhere. So we need to bring all this potential and make it the best system and for the maximum benefit of the people of Indonesia, in particular in remote islands. Next. So, and here's the problem if we don't do that. Electricity is a way to develop the remote islands. Without reliable and equitable electricity, then all these rural communities will be condemned to backwardness, to poverty, and to all kinds of social problems. We have maybe around 1,000 kilowatt hour per capita per year of electricity consumption. That's the average, national average. But in rural Indonesia, it's much lower than that. It's probably comparable to sub-Saharan Africa, which is the least developed countries all over the world. So we need to bring electricity to the rural communities all over Indonesia. Next. And just like I mentioned in the beginning, that we are unique. We need a fit for purpose solution. This is a solution that's probably only ideal for Indonesia and probably not in other countries. But we cannot just copy other solution from other countries. And definitely we cannot copy the solution from Japan or any other developed countries because we have a different situation. Next. The first, I think, the characteristic that we need to bring to all islands in Indonesia, we need to find energy source that is renewable and can be obtained locally. So the island will be self-sufficient. We don't need to bring energy, primary energy from other islands. And the next, and the second characteristic is that when we harvest the energy, which is in this case biomass, we need to make sure that there is minimal ecological impact, and we need to contribute to reforestation effort in Indonesia. Many of the remote areas in Indonesia, rural communities in Indonesia, they have a lot of degraded land and deforested area. I think the number is about 20 million hectares. 20 million hectares of deforested and degraded land all over Indonesia that can be restored and reforest, and we use the plantation for the benefit of the local population. Next. And the generation system must be dispatchable and scalable. What does it mean? It means that we need to replace the diesel gensets exactly like what diesel gensets does. Diesel gensets is very popular in Indonesia remote islands because it is dispatchable. It can be turned on and turned off on demand by the operator. So when the load is more on the evening than in the daytime, then it can be utilized very well. And then it can be scalable. It means that we start from small. Maybe the island doesn't need more than 1 megawatt. Then we put 1 megawatt. If the island being developed and there are industry coming in, then we need to add another 1 megawatt or another n megawatt and so on and so forth. So we don't need to change the system so much. But if we want to put 5 megawatt in the island that only need 1 megawatt, then it will be a waste of money and energy. So we need to put the generation system that fit for the purpose in that particular island. Next. And the electricity produced must be equitable, reliable, and affordable. It means that we need the population to enjoy electricity regardless of their social status and where they live. Otherwise they will be in poverty forever. Without electricity, there cannot be lighting for them, so they cannot do any activities during the nighttime. It was mentioned in the video, after the electricity comes into that particular village, then the whole villages, the whole village can then be developed. Next slide. So this is the current status in Indonesia. We have the conventional system. So diesel genset is usually built in the city center or in the near the port, and then PLN put all the transmission all over the island. But what happened when the natural disaster strike? They will have no power. Why? Because the transmission goes down. transmission goes down, nobody has power anymore, and the diesel genset has no use for the people of that particular island. So it's prone to disaster and disturbance. Even if imagine if the fuel, the diesel fuel, is coming late, what are they gonna do? They just turn off the generators, and then the people doesn't have other source of generation. So there will be a blackout on the whole island because of the late supply of diesel fuel. And it happens all the time, all over Indonesia, particularly in remote islands. And it is very expensive to operate. It is polluting, and it doesn't have benefit to the local population. There is zero social and environmental impact to the local, or even negative actually. But people in that particular island doesn't participate in the generation, doesn't do any good to them, and it just give electricity in a minimum, for a minimum. It's only good for lighting maybe, but it's not going to bring industry into that particular island. So what we want to propose, make it decentralized. It means that all these villages all over the island will utilize whatever they have. If they have a biomass source, then use the biomass source. If they have the hydro source, then put the micro hydro power plant. And then if, of course, they will have a solar PV, we can put a solar PV because suns shine all over Indonesia 365 days a year. I mean, we have no four seasons, just like in Japan. So solar PV can be deployed easily and can be complementing the biomass distributed power. So it will be more resilient to natural disaster. If natural disaster hit, the island will not experience blackout, and they still can do communication to other islands, and it will save life if we do this. Okay, and then it's cheaper to operate, and because the biomass is produced by the local population, there will be economic impact directly to local community. So what I want to emphasize in this concept is the government will bring inclusive, green, and resilient growth to the local community. Inclusive, green, and resilient growth, especially during this pandemic, they will be more resilient. They don't need outsiders to help them. They can help themselves during this pandemic because electricity is more reliable, and they are participating in this scheme. Next. And this is the typical system configuration that we had in Mentawai, and we are now also exploring the new project in Nusa Tenggara Timur, in the border area, which is in Atambua, bordering with Timor-Leste. We are cooperating with Indonesia Power, which is the subsidiary of PLN. Same concept, same technology, but different biomass source, because in Mentawai, bamboo is a native species. You can find bamboo abundantly in Mentawai, but in Timor, because of the dry land and also dry weather, Gliricida sepium, we call it gamal, it's more common, and the leaf can be used for cattle feed. So they can use it to feed the cattle, for cows basically, and we use the branches for the biomass feedstock, and it can provide on-demand power. It is scalable, just like in the diesel genset, and can be deployed faster than natural gas fuel power generation. Why? Because we don't need infrastructure to receive the natural gas. Usually in form of liquid natural gas or compressed natural gas from other islands. We don't need that. Biomass gasification can be built with minimal infrastructure. That's why it's faster than natural gas. And the producer gas, which is syngas, we call it, can be used complementary to diesel fuel. So it can be set as a dual fuel. So the existing diesel genset can be still utilized, and then we just put the gasifier and fit the syngas into the intake manifold. Next. So this is the business scheme that we developed for Timor. Clean Power Indonesia as an IPP, that's in the middle. And we are partnering with Indonesia Power, subsidiary of PLN. And then the operation and maintenance operator is Indonesia Power. So we will have OM contract with Indonesia Power. EPC contractor, now interestingly, the project in Mentawai was built by Japanese construction companies, which is Toyo Engineering, through their local company. It's called IPPT. And IPPT is oil and gas contractor, EPC contractor before, but now they're also shifting to renewable energy. So IPPT, which is the subsidiary of Toyo Engineering, has experience to build this project all over Indonesia, and we are partnering with them. We are quite happy with IPPT because they're very professional. It's on schedule, on budget, and they know what they're doing. And the local become the biomass producer, but they will sell the biomass through their local government-owned enterprise, or BUMD, we call it. Why? Because then they will guarantee feedstock to IPP. So IPP is not exposed to the local directly. The local government company, which is mandated by the local government to give feedstock guarantee to the IPP. That's what we need. So the price will be fixed and the volume will be guaranteed. So there is no risk in this power plant. And the lenders, we already discussed with Green Climate Fund, with PTSMI, that's their accredited entity in Indonesia, and they can bring soft loan to this project from Green Climate Fund to through PTSMI. And PTSMI is a special mission vehicle under Ministry of Finance. And their mandate is to bring local empowerment. They need to bring low carbon development all over Indonesia. So we are quite happy to work with the PTSMI. And then, of course, we have a offtake guarantee from PLN. It will be 25 years, 20 to 25 years of power purchasing agreement, which is bankable, and PTSMI will fund this. The tariff is mandated by the Ministry of Energy, so it's a feed-in tariff. So it's fixed, so it's guaranteed tariff by the government under 5 megawatt. There is no negotiation involved with PLN. So this will give security and certainty to the project. Now, what I want to discuss also with NEDO and BPPT, why don't we get the carbon offset scheme as well to this project? Why? Because not only that we have reduced carbon emission through the renewable energy, because we switched from diesel gensets to biomass power plant, but because we reforest the area, and that can be substantial carbon offset. And I understand that Indonesia has bilateral agreement with Japanese government in terms of carbon trading. It's called JCM, Joint Credit Mechanism. So if we can tap into that funding, then this project can be developed all over the Indonesia, regardless of the tariff from PLN. So imagine all the diesel gensets that's around maybe about 5,000 megawatt can be replaced with biomass gasification. PLN already targeted 2 gigawatt that needs to be replaced in the next 4 years until 2024. So it's a big opportunity for NEDO and Japanese government through the JCN to be participating in this project. Next. Okay. So
can you please make it more concise to save time? Thank you.
How many more minutes I have?
Let's say 3.
Okay. All right. So this is what we are working on. We want to access the global carbon credit market through BPDLH, and BPDLH is an environmental fund under Ministry of Finance. Their role is to distribute all this carbon credit payment to this project. Next, there are some points. Yeah, so the community can act as consumer as well as producer. Next, and then they will have a extra income from this project. Next, and then we can so yeah, regardless of the social and educational status, there will be job for all the locals. PLN benefit from the lower cost of local electricity generation, and carbon credit delivers benefit to the locals. Next. This is just a simulation of how much they save. PLN save 16 billion rupiah per year for 2.2 megawatt. So if we scale up to 2 gigawatt, just like what PLN saying that they want to replace 2 gigawatt of diesel genset to renewable energy, biomass, solar PV, and so on and so forth, they will save 16 trillion rupiah. And that 16 trillion majority going back to the locals and the local industry in Indonesia. Next. So how many villages all over Indonesia that needs this concept? 50,000. 50,000 villages. This is the number from Ministry of Village Development. There are 50,000 villages all over Indonesia that needs reliable and equitable electricity. Basically, the improvement of electricity access. Not just 2-3 villages, but 50,000. Okay, and then 20 million hectares of degraded and marginal land that can be restored, and the 5,000 megawatt that I mentioned about the diesel genset that can be replaced. Next. So it is going to be we're thinking about the 5 characteristics that I think it's going to be the nature of this project: availability of the feedstock, accessibility of the electricity to the local population, affordability, so the communities can pay because they have money coming into their pocket, so they can pay electricity, acceptability because the biomass is planted on degraded land. We are not deforesting a primary forest. We don't touch primary forest, but on the other hand, we restore deforested area. And sustainability is guaranteed because the feedstock is guaranteed, access of electricity guaranteed, and we bring a resilient landscape and growth. Next. So I think we just skip this. Next. Okay, so this is the last slide. So before, yeah, okay, thank you. So I would like to emphasize that after the pandemic, the government need to create jobs. It's jobs. That's very important. That will be created all over Indonesia, not just in Java, but also in eastern part of Indonesia. So, and then the cost efficiency of PLN distributed power need to be improved by switching from diesel gensets to local renewable energy, and energy self-sufficiency for local, all regions. Indonesia is important because otherwise we cannot develop. We cannot develop remote islands, remote area all over Indonesia without providing energy self-sufficiency. So the government will need not only to bring this improvement to all over Indonesia, but also to achieve the target of 23% of renewable by 2025. Minister of Planning Agency, which is Pak Bambang Brojonegoro, mentioned this in the video, and he's now the head or the Minister of Research and Development, also the head of the supervisor of BPPT. Then I think it's very important for the government to take a very active role in this. And I believe biomass distributed power will be the key. Thank you, Mbak Novi. Get back to you.
All right, thank you very much for Mr. Jaya Wahono for sharing with us. I think the project developed by Clean Power Indonesia seems very interesting, especially how the projects are working in remote areas so that the energy or electricity can be enjoyed equally by all the Indonesian people. Particularly, the use of bamboo is very interesting, I think. And then I noted the invitation from Clean Power Indonesia to BPPT and NEDO regarding the carbon offset scheme that may be submitted as joint credit mechanism. So I hope this can be followed up later. All right. I think that's all from me. I would like to remind that tomorrow until Thursday, we still have more sessions, and it will be more about technology aspect for the tomorrow. As Mr. Sumbogo mentioned, we'll talk about biogas, and then the next day is about plantation. And then the last day, it will be about high value added. So we are not just gonna talk about energy, but also high value product that we can obtain from biomass, which is also, I think, very, very interesting. So please don't miss the tomorrow and the upcoming days for this webinar. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to chair this session. I would like to give the time and screen back to the MC. Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih kepada Ibu Andriah, Feby Misna, Bapak Joko Winarno, Bapak Sumbogo Murti, Bapak Jaya Wahono atas presentasinya yang sangat bermanfaat. Dan untuk materi presentasi nanti akan diberikan kepada peserta setelah peserta mengisi link evaluasi.
スピーカーの皆様、非常に有用なプレゼンテーションをありがとうございました。こちらのスピーカーの皆様の資料は、アンケートをご記入していただいた方に提供いたします。
Baiklah Bapak Ibu, kita telah sampai di penghujung acara webinar kita hari ini. Sebelum saya menutup acara ini, terdapat beberapa informasi terkait webinar di tanggal 15 sampai 17 Desember dan terkait pengisian form evaluasi untuk mendapatkan sertifikat. Bagi Bapak dan Ibu yang ingin mendapatkan sertifikat, mohon dapat mengisi link evaluasi yang ditunjukkan pada layar Bapak dan Ibu.
本日ウェビナーが終了となりますが、その前に2020年12月15日から17日までのウェビナーおよび評価フォームの記入に関するいくつかの情報があります。証明書を取得したい方は評価リンクと QR コードが画面に表示されるところにご記入をお願いします。
Bagi Bapak dan Ibu yang bersedia menjawab kuesioner, akan diberikan materi yang memuat resume teknologi dan kontak dari 3 perusahaan Jepang yang memberikan presentasi di hari kedua, hari ketiga, dan hari keempat. Dan tentu saja materi yang diringkas berisi informasi skema support dan kontak 7 lembaga publik Jepang yang memberikan informasi di dalam webinar ini. Oleh karena itu, mohon kerjasamanya untuk menjawab kuesioner. Pada tanggal 15 sampai dengan 17 Desember nanti, masih ada webinar lanjutan dari hari ini. Bagi Bapak dan Ibu yang belum mendaftar, dapat mendaftar melalui link terlampir.
積極的にアンケートをご記入の方に2日目から4日目のプレゼンテーション資料や日本企業3社の連絡先を提供させていただきます。そしてサポートスキームや7つの公的機関の連絡先も提供しますので、アンケートのご協力をお願いします。明日から17日まで引き続きウェビナーがございますので、まだ登録していない方はどうぞ店舗のリンクに登録してください。
Terima kasih Bapak dan Ibu atas partisipasinya hari ini. Mohon maaf bila selama memandu acara terdapat hal-hal yang kurang berkenan. Semoga kita bisa ketemu kembali di webinar selanjutnya. Selamat siang dan selamat kembali beraktivitas.
本日はウェビナーに参加いただき誠にありがとうございました。 イベント中は何か不備がございましたらお許しください。次のウェビナーに会えるのを楽しみにしています。皆様、本日ありがとうございました。